There it goes. Okay. Yeah, so last week we were working with NPCs and we were having a terrible time getting the NPCs to navigate around this cube that we had in the world. And this ain't the world, so let me back out of here and go to something relevant, which I think was, shoot, maybe it was this world. Did I miss it? Is it in here? What's in my hierarchy? Let's check the hierarchy instead of just looking around. Nope, this one's completely empty. There's nothing here, but not really that big a deal. Although I'm sure I had a world where we were testing this last week. Must have been this one right here, the build along NPC avatar. I'm just blind. Yep, here we go. And so, if you remember, last week he was walking, colliding with the cube, sliding off the edge, and then making his way to the target, right? But now, should have something a little better. Yeah, so he walks around it now. And so, I spent a little time over the weekend kind of exploring what we were doing wrong and how we needed to handle this situation. And of course, not only did I fix this, but I learned another valuable piece of information as well. So let's take a look at our script. So let's kind of talk about what we had to do to make this happen. So last week, we had most of this here. A lot of this is the same code that was in the tutorial, in the example. There's really two kind of functions or methods down here that I'm using to ultimately move the player. And so this is the line that I execute 5 seconds after world starts. It's just I get a reference to the agent by accessing this entity, which is the gizmo the script's running on, which happens to be the NPC gizmo. So I just convert it to an avatar agent, and then now I can move this agent. This dot move to position. It's interesting. Joe dot move to position. Wait. Actually, I'm going to ignore the fact that I don't understand why this is available under this. It's okay. So it wants the agent to move and the position to move to. Because it's just a method that I created here. For some reason, I was thinking it was something from the API. Anyway, I got confused for a second. All right, so yeah, this is just a method that we created, and so we have a variable for our agent. We have one called destination. There's also a promise for on fulfill and on reject. Doesn't look like it actually. I don't know if it actually uses those. Might have cut them out. I don't know. I don't see them referenced anywhere else. But so we get the agent's position by referencing the agent dot agent player, and then we got the agent player. We got their foot, and then apparently that's how you get the position of the player's foot. That's okay. Yeah. Um, I've never done that before. It looks weird to me. And then you have to reference like the world space, whether it's local or global. Okay, I see. Anyway, we don't have to get like super detailed about how they got the position, but they did get the position of the agent by getting the foot position. Um, but where it started to get interesting was this nav mesh in this get nearest point, which was something I was having trouble with at first. We can see it wants a position as a vector and it wants a range. And even now I'm going to have to kind of refresh my memory as I'm talking about it to actually get it right here. So it says it gets the nearest point on the navigation mesh within the range of the target position, even if the target isn't on the navigation mesh. So if you name a position somewhere in the world, this will return the nearest point on the navigation mesh for that space. And so I had to do this. I thought I would just like give it my destination, tell it how close I you know you could get to the destination and be okay, and it would just return like the nearest point to get me there based on my current position. But that was not how it worked at all. Um, it was getting absolute positions on on the nav mesh on the nav mesh, and so we were giving it our position, which is like a start position, and then we do it again and we give it like the destination position where we want to be. So we tell it where we are, ask it to give us the nearest point on the nav mesh from where we are, save that, and then we tell it where we want to go, ask it for the nearest position on the nav mesh, and save that. And then set those to our agent position and destination variables that we define at the beginning of our method here. Then we define a variable called path, and we have another function that we created down here called getPath2, and it wants the start position and the destination position. So we're giving it the values that we just defined using the nearest point. Nearest point comes from nav mesh, and nav mesh is actually a horizon thing. Nav mesh, we did this last week, but we were able to get the nav mesh by referencing our nav mesh manager and using the get by name. So we had our nav mesh manager, and then we got our nav mesh that we were working with specifically, which was the Joe nav mesh that we made last week. Just a little bit of recap. And then we set that nav mesh value to a variable that we have here in our script. And so now we're able to access this anywhere, like down here. So now we can take that Joe nav mesh and get the nearest point on that Joe nav mesh, nearest point to our start position and our end position, use those 2 points to get our path. So that brings us to this small little function here. We said it wants the start position and the end position, so it's a to and a from. and it actually returns an array of vectors. So it's returning our path back to us as a list of vectors. We're defining a quick private variable here as a nav mesh path. Defining another one as a number, get path attempts. This is I've never used, I don't use do while, but it works like do this stuff while this evaluates to true. So it's, if you, in code blocks, if you were familiar with code blocks, it's a while loop, basically. Syntax is just a little different. It's do, while, then the condition. So we're looping while path is null and the get path attempts are less than 20. So each loop next path is navmesh.getPath are from and to. We're going to read about getPath in just a second. I want to see what's being written here about it. But then we increment our path attempts, and then we say to.y equal from.y. What? So this comes from the tutorial world based on the NPCs. And that's where I learned about my issue to begin with. Or where I at least found the solution anyway. That's what I meant to say. 2.y equals y.y, or from.y. Okay. But then it loops. Because if next path was null, and we're going to read about why it might become null, hopefully. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Calculates any viable or partially viable path between a start and target, or start position and target destination. If either the start position or destination position, I wish you would get your terminology straight. Are you going to use target destination, or are you just going to call it destination position? If the positions don't lie on the given nav mesh, no path is returned. If both points lie on the mesh, but both don't have a viable path between them, a partial path is returned with waypoints from the start to the position to the closest possible point to the destination. We recommend using the get nearest point method to filter the parameters for this method. That's exactly what we did. So the start and target path are always valid. Yeah, that's what we did. And that's why we did it. It asked us to, apparently. So it gets a path, or it gets a partial path, or it returns null. If the start or destination don't lie on the nav mesh. And if it tries 20 times to get a path, then it's just going to give up. It's just going to return with an empty array. Or it's going to return with an array of vectors. So we come back up here to our path that now hopefully has an array of vectors. And our current method that we're in returns a value. And so it's going to return agent, which is representative of our player, or NPC player. Local motion dot rotate to, so we're rotating that thing, that NPC, to destination, subtracting the agent's position. So we're getting a vector between where we're going and where we are, and rotating ourselves to that vector, to face that vector. When that's done, then we get a value, but it's never used. It's the result, which is probably a success. Yeah. Oh, this is where the on fulfill and on reject come in. But anyway, we rotate as long as he rotates successfully, then it looks like we're moving to position with that path. Moving to positions. Got to be specific. There is a moving to position, and there's also a moving to positions. And positions takes an array. So we've given it our array, and then we have a couple of promises that we could connect to and listen to, but I don't think we're actually doing that. But that's pretty much it. So it was a few extra steps that we weren't doing before. Before we were just laying the mesh and trying to ask the NPC to walk over it, and it wasn't working. We had to take the mesh, we had to get the nearest point for the start and the end, and then we had to continuously, or we had to get path, move to position. Yeah, this is just called once. But then when we get the path, yeah, then it does its thing here. So it was a little more involved than actually what I was expecting, but now I kind of understand it. And I think I could probably do it again or rewrite my own version. I'd still have to use this one as a reference just for the first time or two. But the good news is it does work. So now we can kind of use this to get it to do other things that we want to do. And now is like the part where you guys get to interact either in chat on YouTube or here in Discord with me. Let's see what cool things we can get our NPC to do, but let's keep in mind, I want to showcase whatever we do here in the classroom over at Horizon 101. So out there in that starting area, I want our NPC to be out there doing a thing, walking around looking like he's looking busy, or I'm open for suggestions. This is your all's moment to play a part and to get to have an impact.
I like that idea. You could have all sorts of fun stuff happen, especially when people first come into the classroom. Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of fun. You could have the NPC jumping over the visitors or something like that. You know,
That seems
that
like
might
a
be fun.
lot, but
Or you could just have them walking around.
Star in chat says I saw a video of Evil Smirk making NPC pour drinks. Yeah, yeah. He could be doing things. That's something else to keep in mind. So
I
we can
mean,
grab
could
things.
you really want to use the nav mesh though, don't you, for the
We
example, right?
He'll always use the nav mesh. Um, Also, that reminds me. You can see in this code there's um, there's some baking going on right here. This right here lets you rebake the mesh essentially. And so if things move in the world, you can rebake in real time and get the NPC to navigate around the rearranged world. So that's pretty important to know actually. But anyway, back to what we want to do here. And actually, it's really more about what we want to do with our NPC and our newfound skills in here, in this world. So I was thinking about having him in this area. And hopefully, like we can animate him to do things like wave and stuff, but probably not immediately. But I do like the idea of him, like maybe running around and grabbing this ball, and maybe he puts the ball back where it belongs.
Can you have him run around and try to shoot the ball into a basket or something?
I don't know.
Or is that
You might be able to.
it's
You might be able to get him to throw the ball.
maybe he throws the ball in your direction, you know, or something like that. Or I know on scope wise it's a lot to ask for, but
Yeah, I think even trying to get him to like just go and pick up the ball might be a lot for the remaining 30 minutes that we have.
I mean just running around would be great. If he's just run around in a circle or whatever is fine.
But let's go back. Let's go back because if we don't do anything else, like maybe I'll spend time on what I do in the classroom with him. But if nothing else, like let me drop a ball in here and at least have him go pick it up.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Actually, let's just use the asset library. Look at all these balls. I'm actually thinking about a balloon now. I want a balloon. A blue balloon. Alright, a little bit of tweaking on the balloon here. We're going to set motion to interactive. We're going to set grabbable and physics. We're going to turn on custom gravity. We're going to make that a positive. Positive 9. I think he'll float. Right. Whoop, he gone. We ain't going to do that. That's stupid. Alright, we're just going to use grabbable for now. So, I would like to do... Alright, so if we have grab anchors, it's just going to grab it down here at the bottom of the rope, which is fine, but we could bring that grab anchor up on the Y about, what's 0.5 look like? I love how that anchor updates its position. That's like my favorite feature. Let me spawn in here and just grab it, son of a bitch. Okay. That's not a good grab pose for it, though. Go back where you belong. What might be a good grab pose? Pistol? Torch?
Torch seems good. I mean, can't.
Torch, I happen to know he tilts forward just a little bit. Until he brings it to rest. We'll look at it and see. Yeah, okay, that's not bad. Whatever. Alright, so now let's get the NPC to do that. So we've got our grabbable. He's got a grab anchor. He's got a avatar pose. Doesn't really need anything else. Although I think our NPC script's probably going to need a reference to the thing that we want to grab. So we could say that'll work. Get entity with tags, balloon, tag this bad boy with balloon. That way we ain't gotta link nothing up. So that's done. We got a reference to our balloon. Now, I may have to look up this API reference for grabbing things. But I think what we want to do is move to a position, but we want our position to actually be position of the balloon, or at least nearby. So it's like this dot, well, it actually needs to be if agent and this dot balloon. So if both of them are truthy, now we can reference balloon. We can say this dot balloon dot position dot get. So we're sending him to the balloon. Now I'm thinking on fulfilled. How do we use this? I don't know how to use this. I mean, I feel like this is not right, even though there's no errors. I don't think that's. I don't feel right. But actually, I think what we can do is pop out of here real quick. Let's jump over to that example world because I did modify that script some. So if we pop over to the example, we'll get the unmodified version, which I believe is right here. I have no idea where I just clicked on. Oh my goodness. Alright, what we got? What is this? Where we at? No. I want to be here. Oh, here we go. Alright, where are we at? So there's a script that I'm looking for in here called NPC Manager. Open this thing up. And let's scroll down. Boop, boop, so you guys can see a little better. Let's scroll down till we find our events. Here's that move to position that I copied from. And we see it's still utilizing, and it does end there. Oh, I forgot about these things up top. These are here. Okay. Move to entity. This is what I need. Follow a moving target. This attempts to compensate for moving targets when calculating targeting position. Oh, we really don't even need that. Oh wait, because this one's just fine because it's not a moving target. But it's nice to know that like we have a function for that in this example. I think I'm just going to go back though. I'm going to close this. I'm just going to go back where I was. But while that's loading back in, I want to ask a question because I'm feeling kind of dumb. I'm going to say, yeah, just explain this to start with. Just tell me what you know. see how we use this. How do we react to this callback? Because when it's fulfilled, like when we reach the destination, that's when I think I want to execute the grab code, right? But so where can I put code? Let's look at something else for now. If we pull up API reference for avatar agent grabbable. Okay. Commands the agent to pick up an entity. Pick up an entity. Okay. So it doesn't really say much. Like, what happens if we're too far away and we tell it to pick up an entity, right? I guess that was kind of my question. If we don't make any changes, and he walks to the destination, then we ask him to pick it up, he probably can reach it from where he's currently at. I just wanted to know, like, how I can execute code when he does arrive. Let's see if this is helpful. Oh, really? So up here, when we called the function, oh yeah, okay, I understand what it's. I understand. Shit, these were the parameters. Because it put them in a new line, it threw me off. I didn't think they were parameters. I thought they were just inside of this scope of the method. Okay, so these are this is shit it returns. Um, so it returns the result. Well, whatever. All right, so right here is where we could say something like tell it to grab. So we can say agent dot grabbable interaction dot grab handedness hz dot handedness options are, let's say, right hand, and then the entity, which is going to be this dot balloon. I don't want any callback when that happens. I just want to see it do the grab. So we did have him walk to the balloon though, because I did change that vector to this balloon dot position dot get. But let's so he should walk to the balloon. So I think he's probably going to end up walking on top of it, which might look awkward. Let's just see what happens. Oh shit. He used the fucking force on that one. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So he can just use the force on stuff. He don't need to walk nowhere.
Yeah, maybe you put the agent on the balloon.
Well, I'm saying move to position. And the destination is balloon.position.get. So how did we reach destination? We got a 2. The fuck's a 2? Error. So
What's the mesh look like?
well, I don't know that it matters in this view, because we got a successful bake. But I mean, we can test the theory easily enough by saying bake, start the world, but then we still got to bake here. So I'm thinking it still baked it again. Yeah, stuck the damn balloon up with responded back with a 2. So why are we getting error on moving to the position of our balloon when previously we had no problem moving to our position? So let's put this back. Let's just not use the balloon, and let's just put this back to our new vector, which was, that was where we were originally, where he walked around this way. Interesting. Why does he not like? Do you think it's because the balloon is collidable and it has that space around it, and so it can't actually get a position on the balloon because it's collidable? I think that might be it.
Yeah,
But
that's weird.
we learned a couple of things. One of them specifically, he can be anywhere in the world, and you tell him to grab a thing, and he can grab it. And if he fails, you can't path him on top of a thing, because that thing has to be collidable to be grabbable. Or does it? So let's test that theory now, because this is technically a grabbable, but if it's not collidable, as a player, like, I can't grab it. If we rebake our mesh, the collision's gone now. And if we ask our avatar to now move to the position of the balloon, it should have no problem doing this. My question will be, can the NPC still grab it if I tell him to programmatically? It's still technically a grabbable object, it's just not collidable. That means I can't grab it, but maybe my NPC can. Let's see if he's able to complete this path now. Looks like my theory was right there, and he was able to grab it no problem. Yeah, you just can't navigate him to on top of a collidable object, and he has no problem grabbing. So this means he can grab objects that players can't, which is a good thing to know.
Yeah, that's cool. But if you want to grab something from him,
oh yeah,
might be. I guess you could just swap it out.
give me a balloon. Give me my balloon. And so that would probably go back to. Now we can get the grabbed entity. We can drop the grabbed entity. And apparently I can grab 2 balloons. I can grab a balloon per hand too. So I can have a second balloon to grab. But yeah, that's really neat. That's kind of our time for today though as well. And I think honestly, for the most part, we've done about all you can do with one of these guys. You can grab things and you can move them. We didn't make him jump, but we made him move. He did rotate. We didn't interrupt any movement, but whatever. But that's really it. There's not a whole lot else that they can do. For now, anyway. Now, there may be other things. We know they're also treated like players. So a lot of the things that can be done to a player can also be done to an NPC. So you have that. You have these options as well when manipulating your NPCs. Some of them don't apply. Some of them do though. This one definitely applies. We just used it. We didn't just use it in code, we used it in the property panel for the balloon. So we set it to torch. That's the same thing as saying play avatar grip pose animation by name, and then just call the torch by name. Yeah, I think that concludes NPCs now. So that leaves next week kind of open if anyone has anything.
What are you thinking about for next week?
I didn't really have anything at the forefront of thought for next week yet.
But might be fun to do a brainstorming session where we think about what you could do for the classroom and then figure out what we can do to get there, something like that. I mean, it's
Use
cool
a
to
build with BluNET to work on the classroom.
yeah, just like, or it's like fun to apply like practical real life puzzles, but
Okay.
I don't know.
No,
I mean,
I like that idea.
there's a lot of options. It's good because it's like then we see the end results in the classroom as well, or it's
Yeah,
just connects everything.
It's one thing. Yeah, it's one thing to do what we're doing, but then like it is something different to apply it in a real world scenario, which I think is a good idea.
I think, yeah, I mean, we could even take what we did from before with you know, and then some of the other stuff that we've done with, yeah, the focus interaction and with agent, or with the maybe we build a agent that lets you do focus interaction with and can move them around the screen or something like that. or
Um,
have them go to different points.
I think it's a good idea. I appreciate that. I think we'll actually use it because it is a win-win in the sense that um, I think you're right. We have an opportunity to shit. I done forgot what I was saying, but also it helps me make progress in the classroom while also like serving the purpose of showing off, building in real time, which is arguably just exactly what this hour is about. So no, I like it. I think I think I'm sold on it for next week.
Yay! Cool.
So maybe we'll take this focused interaction stuff. Camera stuff's already kind of done, and we'll also take this NPC stuff and we'll apply it practically to the classroom. Star says, "I'd like to learn TypeScript from the basics." Closed on me. What else did she say? While I'm watching you, how so? Follow up question then, Star. You're watching me today. Do you find it helpful? Do you need more of this on specific topics? What are you wanting to see exactly? The basic functions? Um, I mean, I have. I like to see it in action. Oh, you're still talking in relation to what we were saying as far as building in the wild, but from like starting from the basics in the wild. Is that what you were talking about? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let's aim for that next week. Let's let that be the thing that we do next Tuesday evening. So it's 10 o'clock on a dot. Perfect timing for me to shut the YouTube stream down. You guys are welcome to hang out in Discord. But I will stop YouTube land for now.